Why Tarab?
Why Tarab? It's so hard to explain the term mazaj to like in an English term. There's something about like, mood, but
Mazaj is different.
like in like بالعربي when you sit down with your coffee and like a nice little garden in your house and a good breeze and you listen to tarab, it's a whole different vibe.
بتسلطن. احنا بنقول بسلطن. Like that doesn't exist in
Sultan.
other language.
How can you translate it? But Sultan.
You get drunk on
Sultan.
music. You get high on music.
I thought but Sultan as Sultan, as emperor.
You get high,
but that's literally Kulthum's concerts. They documented people's phases. They were on a high on the lyrics and the melody. They're on a high.
So they're on a different state of mind.
And honestly, I can fully understand.
But neurologically, there must be a link. I'm sure that there is a research done. I'm going to dig it out. This is interesting.
Live music for me takes you on a
trance. Yeah. Because trance is when you're so in it with the repetition.
Well, the Sufi.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
It's like a mantra being repetitive until it just.
And then later
merge that. Live music, good music, instruments, القانون والسلطنة القانون and the melody going up and down with lyrics that are deep and soulful and poetic.
Poems.
So it is a high.
It's a total high.
Yeah.
Just listening to that is put me in a good mood.
Exactly.
Just hearing you.
It's so hard to explain it in English sometimes.
Yes.
Hello and welcome to Forward Moves, hosted by Lina, Nahhas and Haddad, a conversation with our guests about the path of their successful journey and what keeps them moving forward in an ever-changing environment. Hello, Meshary Al Nassar. How are you?
Good, how are you?
We're doing very good. We're in the mazaj now.
So happy to be here, first of all.
Thank you for
having me.
For our listeners and viewers, Meshary Al Nassar is a Kuwaiti interior architect and designer, graduated with a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Interior Design from the American University of Dubai. In 2018, he took a significant step by establishing his design studio in Kuwait City, swiftly gaining recognition as one of the region's pioneering interior design studios. Specializing initially in high-end residential designs, Meshary expanded his studio's scope to include architecture and product design, showcasing his versatility. Meshary's work is deeply rooted in the cultural and natural heritage of the Middle East and North Africa. He draws inspiration from traditional architecture, natural materials, and personal narratives. And I love the personal narratives, but his debut 410 collection, showcased at Dubai Design Week, features sculptural pieces crafted from Italian travertine, if I pronounced that right, and inspired by his grandfather's architecture and childhood memories of gardens. His designs are characterized by a warm, layered aesthetic that balances contemporary elegance with regional influences. But above all, Meshary is renowned for his refined, storytelling-driven approach to design.
It's a lot.
That's a lot.
How does that feel?
That's a lot. I did not pay him to say that, I promise.
It's good a lot.
No, nobody pays him to say that.
I'm proud of it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
I know you told me yesterday you don't like starting a conversation with where did it all start?
Yeah.
But I love that question, but I'm going to twist it.
Please.
I'm not going to ask you what was your first design, what was your first. I want to ask you the beginning of that love story that you have with beautiful things. Where did it all start? How did you establish that relationship? What was the first feeling with all things beautiful?
First of all, I grew up around a family that loves beauty and design. Like my grandfather and my father, they weren't architects or designers, but they loved beautiful things that spoke to them. So I grew up in a household where my grandfather's house, which is the inspiration behind the collection, was full of like craftsmanship. So I grew up seeing details. But then when we moved out of my grandparents' house into my parents' house, which is a modern, contemporary house, those details weren't there.
Yeah. They got lost,
They got lost. Yeah. But then I started feeling like I wanted to move things around to create like a setup for my parents to experience when they walk in from work.
How old were you then? Because I can see you remembering.
Like 12.
Okay.
12, okay. Between 12 and 14.
Okay.
I remember specifically because there was the Oprah show just launching in the Middle East on NBC2. I remember it so specifically. And I used to come back from school and watch it. But I used to move the furniture around and create setups just for them to experience them. But I kept shifting the furniture around so many times that it became a thing.
But it's amazing. At 12 years
it.
old, I rarely heard about anybody who at 12 years old was creating habitats, basically. What
Let
you
me
were
tell
doing.
you, I pushed sofas with one arm around. Until this day, I push sofas around to ship. I just loved transforming a space, but I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know why I was doing what I was doing. I just wanted them to walk in. All I wanted was a reaction.
I was about to ask you, were you like always anticipating how they're going to react to the
Yes,
shift, and that was the
100%.
source of excitement? Or was it the shifting itself because you're following some force, some intuition?
Yeah, I get a high on just shifting things around. Like you'll see me like tunnel vision, focused, excited and sweaty and move things around. And I go to the basement and grab some random accessories and just stage something. Everything looked so staged.
On a
and
mission.
On a mission to make it look a specific way. But I anticipated their reaction.
And how was their reaction each time?
They were like, "Come on, stop!" like the TV was
How
on all
many
different
times?
walls. We tried every composition in the living room possible, but also my bedroom as well as a kid. Up until I was watching the Oprah Winfrey show, and there was an interior designer there, and it said Nate Berkus, interior designer, and I'm like, "What's an interior designer?" And that's when it clicked, and that's where the obsession
It all
started.
made sense then.
So
It all makes
incredible.
sense.
It's like almost innate. It's like you're born with it. When it's that
But
ravenous about it, you want to do it, and it's like
literally,
it's
it's inside of me that I want to create a space.
You know, I could imagine that, you know, it's like the influence of your grandfather and the space that your grandfather had. That could have been the first kind of trigger. But then it's actually more than that. It's you yearning to live different experiences through the space around you. Spatial experience.
And that's why I learned the term spatial design, because I feel like in spatial design I can excel. As much as that kid in me loves moving things around and creating spaces and getting the reaction out of you, I excel more on site doing things with my hands and shopping alone to get the pieces than sitting on a desk and sketching all day. I don't even know how to sketch properly.
So you're very visceral, like you're very
very tactile. I like to go and shop and find and envision and place and test and move things around.
And that's the inspiration you get, because I went to your studio. Lina, I went to his studio. Yeah.
Okay, next time we're going together. You
You're more
can't
than
be
welcome.
going on your own to
You're
these
more than
studios.
welcome.
And I saw artifacts, and I don't want to call them artifacts, but I saw pieces from around the world. You had African masks, you had, was that Lebanese tapestry on the wall you mentioned? No?
Yes, there was a Lebanese rug on the wall.
Rug on the wall.
Yes, true.
There was Afghan pot.
Yeah.
And there was this random piece of, you couldn't tell me what it was. You just
Which
told
one?
me you found it in a dumpster, a metal, an iron,
a pot.
an iron pot.
A pot, yeah.
So you walk into that, and it's so eclectic, you know. And this is supposed to be a design studio where people come and seek a singular thought, right? Whereas you kind of present them with like a multitude of almost layers of thoughts.
True.
Is that your inspiration?
I think my inspiration is accessibility. Like, I feel like when people think interior design, they think everything is expensive and hard to reach. And the reason why I mix and match things that are worth 10 dirhams, like that pot I showed you, and then like a proper Italian chair, is because I feel like creating a design space is all about layering. And I love the term layering because you could keep going on and on and on and on.
I know someone else who loves the term layering.
Isn't it?
And textures, but it makes sense. Here you were trying to layer that living room in several ways, and like infinite ideas come from just the same objects.
True.
You know, it's like the form has many definitions, and you
100%.
get to just create from there.
And styling changes a full space. Just by styling, you're trying to tell people something without speaking to them.
Yeah.
I want whoever walks into the space that I've created, be it my studio, is to get to know what I'm trying to say without even speaking to them. By the books you see, by the pieces you see, but also intimacy.
Yeah.
I like intimate spaces. I like to feel like I'm welcome and I'm allowed. So a space like that allows me
Where's
to
that
feel.
coming from?
I think because I seeked a lot of inspiration in spaces that I wasn't welcome in. Because the design industry and architecture industry is all about this very stiff facade.
Okay.
And I grew up observing that. But when it was my time to create, I didn't want to be that person or that brand or that office. I wanted the space to feel welcome and inviting to myself and to my clients and friends. So that became kind of the core of it all for me.
I love that because, you know, there's so much exclusivity and exclusion. And we always have this discussion. I always tell him, our Arab ways, our indigenous ways are all about circles.
Yes.
They're all about inclusion.
Community.
We know we're all about community. We're all about welcoming and accessibility, and not to label anyone, but the world is catching up now, and we're catching up to how precious this is. Like, it's like they're repackaging circles and selling them. You know, like,
literally.
but we have that, and you're like drawing upon what maybe conceivably what your grandfather's circle welcoming home was, or not. Am I assuming too much?
My grandfather started from zero. He built his own world around him. And then my dad followed. When it came to me, I didn't feel like I had a message. So I just wanted to continue what my grandfather created, which, like, for me is inclusivity. He just wanted inclusivity. And I do that with spaces because I never felt like I belonged to a circle. No circle was enough for me, but maybe I was greedy. I wanted all the circles. I don't know, but I never wanted to fit. So I think inclusivity allows me to share, but also access.
I love that.
That triggers the first question we received, because
okay, great.
It's,
Good
we
segue.
don't usually what we usually do is that we reach out to friends and ask them to contribute with questions, but we kind of wait later into the episode to ask that question.
I'm just feeling that circle, like that's just like
expanding,
infinite.
Yeah.
It's not a circle. It's like a spiral.
Yeah, 100%.
So we had the first question. I think you will recognize the voice, right?
There's a voice?
The question.
Oh, you didn't.
No.
Recorded questions. There we go.
Meshary, I'm here to revisit the question we often debate. Does our work define who we are? More often than so, you disagree. But over the past 2 years, I've come to learn that everything you do is always a wholehearted extension of yourself. And I'm a strong believer that one day you just might change your own mind. My question is, what is the passion project, or the project of purpose, that could make you proudly say, this body of work truly defines who I am? Or as we often joke, what's Meshary's great manifestation?
This man knows me way too much. he knows way too much.
Who's that?
That's Ilyas Al
Yes.
Hajj. Ilyas, a genius.
Were you with me at the panel when?
Yes. What do you mean? I took you there. You mean Abu Dhabi?
No, but at one point we split.
Yes,
so we
of course.
said, we
Yes,
listened to
we
Ilyas.
listened to him.
Yeah.
Ilyas, he's an incredible human being. To answer his question, I feel like I've been looking within lately, within myself, within my culture, within the region, a lot, instead of looking out, be it to the west or outside of my house or outside of my circle. And looking within, I realized that there's a lot of work I need to do for me to get that facial expression that we talked about from my parents when I was a kid. I want to get that from our community. And I work so hard to show people what I want to do, but I never got the opportunity till this day, 7 years in of my career, to show what I'm able to do. This kid in me wanted to do.
This is really, really powerful.
And I think I would love to take old homes, old houses that are basically abandoned or ruined or never looked at, and give it a new life without taking away its character. I think we're so easy to, I think it's very easy to demolish things and take away their real identity and clad in marble everywhere and polish it.
Yeah.
But why not revive it?
Yeah.
Where it was intended to be revived.
Give them back their purpose.
Exactly. Give it a new life.
Yeah.
Because when you give it a new life, people believe that you're a magician. Wait, what did you do without cladding marble everywhere? You actually made this come to life.
And there's an honoring in that. Because there's an honor, there's like an honoring of something that's already there, had the energy, had the creativity, and then you're just again doing what you do well, which is the layering,
Exactly.
to bring it even more to life and elevate it rather than destroy. So you're creating rather than destroying.
It's very personal. I feel like for me, it's very personal to want to do that.
That really touched me a lot. I have to say, like I almost cried because it's this whole honoring that's going on. I feel like it's part of a phase that this region is also going through.
Movement.
The waking up to the value and the core.
I like the word movement.
Yes.
And more than phase.
Yes.
I'll tell you why.
A
Because
movement,
phase can be temporary,
That's right.
True. Movement is
perpetual.
ongoing.
Yeah.
It's moving forward. You know. It's, and it links back. It's like, you know, when you talk about taking old houses and giving them back their purpose. And, you know, houses are places of gathering, of bringing people together, of inclusion, of community. And we were talking about this yesterday when we were talking about coffee shops, right? It's like how every single coffee shop now in our region looks the same. It's like, you know, it's like it's kind of a hybrid freak show between Scandinavian and God knows what.
Well, they call it,
right?
Yeah.
Whereas the true coffee shops, you know, are dusty, messy, dim light, raw.
Yeah.
But what do you do then? So my curiosity here is, what do you do with the fact that some parts of our world, many of them, are into destroying these things, and here you are wanting to renovate old spaces. Where do you find them? And then with that tension between the tendency to destroy as a policy versus here you are going,
I think I'm trying to find my own personal identity as a creative, or maybe as an individual. Because I'm a 90s kid. I grew up in an environment where everything was American pop culture, American media. So I was fed Western culture more than my own culture. So growing up as a teenager, I was, as much as I could, I think my generation, we pushed away our identity, our Middle Eastern identity, and wanted to adopt a Western narrative. How can I fit in? But then I realized after years of my career that I continued to look at Western designers who are incredible at what they do. I love what they do. I continued to look at their work for inspiration. But their inspiration is their own. It's their own personal story.
It's their journey.
It's their journey. Why am I looking at someone else's journey to find my own? Why can't I find my own? So I started looking within. To save homes or to renovate them, as a simple design term that it is, for me, it's I'm a romantic when it comes to spaces. When I go to museums like Topkapi Palace in Istanbul, I walk around and I can almost like fantasize how people walked around the hallways and the sounds.
You're very visual with your emotions.
Very. I can almost like imagine like when something happy would happen, like you can hear the sounds of cheerfulness or sadness, the crying. I wanted to imagine everything.
Is that your go-to tool, for lack of a better word?
It is.
That, you know, you need to visualize
I emotionally connect.
in order to live the emotions.
I emotionally connect to a space. And I think through history and museums and spaces, I wanted to take that and apply it to my daily work life. How can I take an old space and bring it back to life and pay homage to who used to live in it? They had stories there. There were people there who had emotions.
Whispers. It's almost like you're listening in to a different dimension.
Exactly.
And bringing it back
You
in your
connect.
own way, in your own script.
100%. So it's storytelling. It's wanting to connect and it's looking within.
I love it.
I have another question from another friend. I don't know if it's the time to ask it, but I think it will help us. It will, because
we started with the easy one.
Haven't we heard that? You know? Because I like this notion of whispers. I like this notion of, you know, I'm on this quest of what is my journey. It doesn't mean that I can't see what other journeys were made of, but how's that charting my own journey? And listening to you, it's still a work in progress, right?
I haven't even started yet. I feel like I'm still exploring.
But I also like the notion of storytelling, and we can tell a lot of things through our story. You know, truth and lies, and but it's an evolving thing. So anyway, I'm too much of a
Oh,
preamble.
your segue. It's a segue.
Too
isn't
much
it?
of a preamble.
I can feel it. I feel it when there's a segue coming.
excited. He's excited.
He finds a way to weave it in.
Here's the
I love
question.
it.
Here's the question, and you will. I'm sure you recognize the voice.
If I had to ask Meshary one question, I guess I would ask him, when was the last time you had to lie to yourself? And why did you feel the need that you had to? Yeah, I think I'd ask him something like that. I'd be curious to know that.
That's a lot. that's a big one. He knows me too well.
And that's Mish.
That's Mish, my business partner and my best friend, who is also married to my other best friend. So yeah, he's a huge part of my life. When was the last time I lied to myself, and why did I have to? I think throughout anyone's journey or personal journey, there are things that you crave, that you want. But because you yearn for these things, these emotions, these feelings, these ideologies, you sacrifice, you compromise, you lie to yourself because you just want to grasp that fantasy. You want that fantasy to be yours. So you leave behind your self-value because you just want to get that dream, to connect. And Mish has witnessed me several times wanting to reach a specific goal or emotional state, be it personal life or family or love life or work or client relations, where I would put my self-value aside and lie to myself because I just want to make things happen.
So it's
I wanna make things work.
convincing yourself that
Your mind kind of lies to you. Your mind plays a trick on you.
Is it lying to yourself, or is it, in French we say embellir la vérité? It's like, making the truth more beautiful.
Yeah.
It's
Making,
it's
like
kind of,
package
in
it
American terms, sugarcoating it. But, it's
sugarcoating.
that's
Exactly.
Too much calories.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Because there's a fine line. Because if you're aware that you're actually lying to yourself to accept something that otherwise you wouldn't accept, does that make it a lie, or does that make it a compromise, as you said?
Or does it make it like living a fantasy world, like you were listening to the voices from another dimension? You're bringing it closer to this dimension.
100%. And I feel like as much as we want to gain balance, sometimes losing it is also good for you.
Yeah.
Because you get to see, like, how much are you able to take?
Yeah. The reason I wanted to go there, and Lina gave you a way out, but I'm bringing you back in. How important is it? Because I feel that it's not, I don't want to say it's a struggle, but I feel that by acknowledging that I have to lie to myself, you know that you don't want to do that, but you do it, right? How important is it for you to be you?
It's very, very important for me to be myself. And I feel like being an Arab man from the Middle East, I don't think I followed the typical narrative. And I think people have had so many different journeys, be it public or private, and they're all valid. But I think I never followed the steps that my community and my culture wanted me to follow.
The mold.
Yeah. There is a mold. I think as much as we try to say everyone is an individual, there is a mold.
Yeah.
The mold exists. We don't talk about it, but it's there.
And by you saying that, you're aware that and to go back to Mish's question, it's like, lying to yourself. You're aware of that lie. So you demonstrate a high level of self-awareness, which make me assume that you also have, a good sense of vulnerability. How important is that in your everyday life and also in your work?
It's so important for me to be transparent with my work, with myself, with my friends. I don't like to bottle any thoughts, emotions internally. I like to communicate them. But also I think my strength, I feel like in this world, is that I want to sit across from you on the table and feel like you could connect to me and I can connect to you. I never want to feel like that there's a barrier between me and people. And when clients come over or hire me, I'm vulnerable and open, But that's so bad for business, I learned.
Is it?
It is, because there are no boundaries. And Mish, being my business partner, he started putting the boundaries. He's like,
Right.
listen,
Yeah.
you can't do that. So being vulnerable and open with them, I want to get to know them. I want them to get to know me. I like building bonds with humans.
Is it because people confuse vulnerability with weakness?
100%.
If you're yourself and you're open, they would look at that as like a point of weakness, and they would like to kind of exploit it, right?
The common understanding is that vulnerability is weakness, but I feel like it's the opposite. It's strength.
I look at it as strength.
Absolutely.
It takes a lot to be yourself.
Honesty. It's
honesty.
what you were saying. Like, it takes courage to also be living outside a mold.
Yeah.
Because nobody, and that takes courage, honesty, vulnerability, whatever. And for me, it's power. It's a great power that people get to feel in the work that you do and the words that you give.
And we see it in the work you do. You don't follow. I mean, we were talking earlier about layers and being eclectic and discovering. We don't see that in Arabic. We say namat, right? We don't see that. Established stereotype.
Yeah.
So that vulnerability allows you, that openness allows you to explore, both personally and professionally.
But I think for me, it's because we're all trying to find ourselves. Everyone. And one thing I learned recently that I kept in my mind that really helps me a lot is like, no one knows what they're doing. We're all trying to figure it out.
We're all winging it.
We're all humans for the first time.
We're all humans for the first time.
We're all humans for the first time. So I want to feel seen, and I want to feel heard, and I want to connect, and I want to bond, and I want to understand. I want to know.
You want to be curious.
I'm curious. I'm curious by nature, but I think all humans are curious.
Yes.
But I think vulnerability allows me to put my shield down and really connect with you and have a conversation.
And it goes back to what you said right at the beginning, this accessibility. You want accessibility. You want everything to be accessible, but you also want access in, because intimacy
100%.
allows for that bridge into that other person's heart as well.
Because I always think, like, imagine how many thoughts, feelings, or emotions I haven't felt yet.
Aww.
Like connecting with someone, I get to bond with them.
How do you calibrate? When is too much too much?
I feel
that's a question for myself, and I'm trying to get an answer from you.
When do you set up boundaries?
When do you stop feeling everything?
I mean, because I think we go out and we hustle, but we never reward ourselves by decompressing. And we talked about the hot tub earlier today.
Yes, we did.
Getting into a bath for 20 minutes is good for you.
Amen to that.
Good for you, because you get to switch off.
Right.
Allow your nervous system to just regulate.
Totally.
So what are those tools then? He has the bathtub. What are those tools for you to
I
calibrate?
don't only have the bathtub.
There's
Okay,
more
but we're
than the
not
bathtub.
talking about you right now. We will in a second.
No, we're not. Oh, come on, Meshary.
It's not just the tub.
So what are your tools that for decompressing, for because you do strike me, and you've stated it, the type that takes in a lot and go, so where and that's a sensitive nature of also the creatives, and especially the ones who are living on top of the reality, the fantasy
you live we live in our own world.
There's a lot,
and you soak a lot in to the point where there's a breaking point. And there's an overwhelming sense of a lot is a lot. How do I deal with that? I think, and I complain a lot about traveling. I travel a lot for work, specifically across the GCC, and it's always like a 24-hour trip where I go in the morning, come back in the evening or the next day. And I find myself in that gray area in the sky or in an airport where I'm switched off. And I always say, oh my God, an hour and a half in the sky with no Wi-Fi, a blessing. Because I can't stop myself from checking my phone. But I want something to be forced on me to switch off and just be with myself. So I think kind of going autopilot in, no pun intended, autopilot in an airport, walking around with my speakers switched off, just minding my own business with nowhere to go but a gate. That's where I'm completely on my own by myself, processing everything and decompressing.
That brings up another question that I received, and this is a surprise for you. I mean, the person who sent the question is a surprise for you. Let's see if you recognize the voice.
Hey, Meshary. So my question is, what has been the hardest thing you've ever had to overcome, whether professionally or personally?
Who is that?
You didn't give me that name. But we talked about, we sent her a picture yesterday.
Lubna.
Yes.
That's Lubna?
That's Lubna.
I blame the speakers. Oh my God, love Lubna.
So she wants to know, what is the hardest thing you had to overcome?
I mean, we've all been through some hard moments.
He's wiggling.
Yeah. But I think I've been through a lot of amazing, incredible moments of my life that I'm so thankful for. But I've been through a lot of difficult things as well, which I don't think it's, oh my God, look at me, I've been through a lot. I think, again, we've all been through so much. The hardest thing I had to endure recently is when you see your loved ones, your family, they're going through something that you can't help. You're powerless. That was the most difficult thing for me. My incredible grandma who passed away, Allah yarhamha, in October. It wasn't difficult to accept the passing. It was difficult to not have access to that incredible energy. Yeah. She was a woman of great energy and power and inspiration, and after her passing I realized how much influence she's had on my personality, and it's been very difficult dealing with having no access to her again, but I'm at peace with that was her time with us. That's
a beautiful way to describe grief, if I may. It's a
very complicated feeling,
but it's a beautiful way of describing it.
I think you go through stages in grief, and I think I've been through grief a few times. You learn a different way every time.
Yeah.
And I've learned through times where you're upset and you can't function and you're broken. But I think with my grandma, as much as it was heartbreaking, because she was such incredible energy and presence in my life and around everyone else, it almost felt like her time extended in my mind more. Her existence extended more. So I lost her physically, but I've gained so much more of her internally. And it's been the most difficult thing, but I'm at peace with it.
It's almost like there's a sense of grace. again coming back to, because you're so accessible, that bridge that it's like a different form, taking on a different form now, a formlessness, but in a different form. But you've still kept that bridge, and it kept coming and kept visiting, like that accessibility. And there's such grace in that, in the way you've described that. It's so beautiful.
Thank you. But I feel like sometimes it's okay to allow yourself to sink deep into your own fantasy. Has anyone watched the movie Coco? You should.
Enlighten us.
So it's a Disney Pixar movie, and it's about the Day of the Dead in Mexico, which is celebrated every year.
Yes, of course,
Coco.
I never watched, but
we don't know what happens after passing.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So I'd like to believe that Coco is real. I'd like to believe that movie is real. I'd like to believe that there's a beautiful bridge of flowers that can connect us to them, and that keeps me happy.
Is this how you overcome rejections?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I think rejections are the best lessons for you.
Were you pushed back at early when you're early in your, when you started moving furniture around and you saw that name interior design, and then so you started kind of thinking, it's like, what does it mean, and can I be that? Were there pushbacks? Were there rejections?
Course. The stereotype in our Middle Eastern culture is that design and fashion and interior design are female-dominated industries, and men do not belong in such industries. And I think in the past 5-8 years, things have shifted tremendously because of social media.
Yeah.
But when I started wanting to be interior designer, I didn't face backlash as much as resistance. Is that from my loved ones? Is that, why do you, as an Arab Khaliji man, want to go study interior design and cater for the market for interior? Who's going to hire you?
Yeah.
Who wants you to come fluff a pillow? Because that was the misconception, is that interior design is just picking fabrics, curtains, and pillows.
Yeah.
Right.
And there was a lot of pushback. Yeah. But I think I have the most supporting parents. And although at the beginning they didn't get it, but then when they did, they became my biggest supporters. Yeah. And I studied interior design without my parents knowing. They thought I was doing finance. But
really? Ooh.
There's a huge plot twist there. But It worked.
How did you manage?
It worked.
How did you manage to cover that one up? I'm just curious.
So
like
basically,
you went to university and they thought you were taking.
Yes, literally. I did finance for a year and a half in Kuwait.
Oh, you did do finance.
I did.
Oh, fantastic.
And then I transferred to Dubai and did finance for a semester. And I went to switch my papers around. And I was like, I'm doing interior design. And then I told my dad later on.
There you go.
And he was like, okay, if you want to do it that bad, then just do it. But is there a job for you afterwards? That was a motivator for me.
Yeah. So
and I was the only guy in my batch. I told you I was the only guy in my batch, and the only it was all girls, and I was the only guy, and I was the only Khaliji guy. Khaliji in the thing.
Yeah.
So it was like all the girls looked at me like, "Why are you here? Did you fail something? You ended up here." But no, I loved it.
Did you fail finance? You ended up here.
Literally, did you fail finance? Yeah, literally that.
But I love that because you turned the negative energy of rejection, and I remember also a story you shared with me about the wedding planner.
Yes.
Do you want to tell Lina about that?
Sure.
Yes, please.
Wow. Yeah, that story. I'm always shocked whenever I think about it and I say it.
But it fits well with what you're saying, that how you turn the negative energy of rejection into a positive motivator. So
and willpower.
Yeah, I'll mention that. I'll mention another quick one after it as a great example. There were cute magazines back in universities back then, all about design and wedding planning and wedding gowns and so on. And I saw a wedding planner in Kuwait. I will not mention his name, but he basically was showcasing beautiful work, stunning work. So back when internet was a cable into a Toshiba thing, so I basically emailed his office saying, I just want to be a part of whatever beautiful creations you're doing. How can I learn from you? How can I work for you? Can I intern? And then they returned the call, basically the email by a call by saying he wants to speak to you. So I remember he called me early morning. It was a weekend morning. I was still in bed. He called me and he's like, thank you for sending an email. I'm so glad you like my work. What do you want? And I'm like, what advice do you have for me to do what you're doing? I love what you're doing. And he shut me down completely. He's like, don't do it. It's not for you. It's not for anyone.
No way. Wow.
You need to be a specific kind of smart to do this. Don't do it. It's not easy. But it was a lot. It's very egotistical, the way he said it. Like, you will never become what I have become.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. So I was just destroyed.
It wasn't out of a caring space. Like, don't do it. I made a mistake. It's more like, don't you dare.
He's like, don't
come into my, don't you dare. He saw the potential.
And I was just like,
wow.
Okay, thank you.
Oh my goodness.
I was 16, 17.
I'll show you.
Literally. And then years later, I was in a client's house and he was doing a little arrangement for 15 years later, like a engagement party. And he came up to me. He's like, I'm a huge fan of your work. I'm like, thank you so much. You don't remember me, but...
You're the reason I'm here.
Exactly. And he just didn't know what to say.
Wow.
Incredible.
Beautiful story.
Yeah.
But that's what I love about it. It's like, that it didn't stop you. Any 16 years old having heard that from somebody who's supposed to be a reference.
But I didn't know what I was doing though. I didn't know. All I knew is that I wanted to belong.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a part of. I wanted to connect.
Yeah.
So was it that yearning then on the call? The fact that, he's shutting me off and I want to belong? Was that the yearning?
Yeah, I saw someone creating something beautiful and I'm like, I would love to be part of whatever that creation is.
Yeah.
And then I faced rejection multiple times in the same way up until I was like, you know what? I will do it on my own terms.
Yes.
And that's why my collection came in, because I wanted to be part of this incredible French gallery, but I could never fit the PR mold with them. So I did it on my own.
What a gift, right? What a gift when this adversity comes along and this rejection comes along in order for you to come back and go, hey, I have my own story to tell. I'll show you.
Yeah, but it takes a lot of vulnerability though.
It takes a lot of
I was scared the entire time.
True.
I didn't
and honesty
go
towards yourself.
Yeah, but I never went as like, I will show you. It was more of like,
more.
I'm just going to try and see what works.
Yeah.
But what I also like is often we hear that, I want to be accepted. I want to be in. What I'm hearing you say, I want to connect. It's different. It's different than I want to be accepted.
No, because I don't care for being accepted.
Yeah.
Because you will find people who will accept you and you'll find people who will not.
Yeah.
And that's
And you
completely
cannot influence
normal.
that.
Again, the
You
mold or
can't.
not the mold. But
You can't. And I'm at peace with it.
Yeah.
But I want to connect.
Yeah.
Even with the ones that don't accept me or my career or who I am as a person, I still want to get to know
still
you
want to connect.
because
You-
I accept you in return.
Yeah,
because you're
exactly.
different than me as well.
Yeah.
It's a two-way thing.
Yeah.
It's the intimacy you talked about at the beginning. And
Correct.
I love that word. I love it. Again,
Correct.
it goes with, for me, it goes with vulnerability.
Yeah.
The fact that you're open enough and honest enough about who you are and honest about the emotions, that's intimacy. That's connection.
Yeah.
And that's really, really beautiful.
So what does the future look like?
You tell me.
I mean,
And
yeah.
he'll build it. You just
Yeah.
tell him what it looks like and he'll build it for you.
Someone needs to tell me because I have no
Bathtub
clue.
outside on the patio would be nice.
Literally.
What would you like your legacy to be?
My legacy to
How
be.
would you? Okay, let me put it into the storytelling frame. You know, what would you like to transmit as a story? You've got such a beautiful passion that you are sharing with us today, and that you are sharing with the world through your work.
Yeah.
And probably saying what would you like your legacy to be might sound very pretentious, because that you are anything but somebody seeking to establish a legacy from what we have talking.
Yeah.
But how would you like to transmit that story? What would be the transmission be like to pass on that knowledge, that passion?
See, if you asked me this question a few years ago, I would tell you to be a good human and to prove that I had good intentions. And
It's not a beauty
it was,
pageant, Meshary.
yeah, it's not. It was literally exactly, literally, and good environments and goodwill. No, but like. No, yeah. Imagine what do these pageant things do? They say and good like clean oceans and
yeah,
Clean
like
oceans,
clean
save the
oceans
turtles and whatever.
and peace
Peace
for the
on
world.
earth.
Peace for the world.
Yeah, exactly. No, but
That's not what I'm asking.
yeah, no. But now I think because I no longer want to fit in or be accepted. I
Yeah.
don't care for it. I don't want it ever. If I ever fit in, I'm doing something wrong.
Oh, wow. That's a whole different perspective.
Yeah.
So it's not like I don't care if I fit in or not. It's more
No.
like I will consciously make sure.
Consciously to not fit in. It's not an ego thing at all. No, I
Creative.
genuinely don't want to fit in.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I'm going to leave something behind, I just want to leave behind that I'm at true peace with my surroundings and the life I've had so far and who I am as a person. I'm at peace with it. I want to be known that this person was at complete peace with people and himself. Period. I never had or will ever have an issue with anything that's different than who I am.
Are you close to that now?
Very.
Okay.
Which I never thought I would.
And how did you get there? What was, if you were to just reflect on that? Because again, what is the gem you want to pass on to others behind you, whatever, what is the tip here? How did you get there?
As simple as to just look within. And we said this at the beginning. I just paused and I looked within. What do I want to do? Where do I want to go? And how can I treat the people around me? Instead of looking at an ideology and copying it. Create your own. And that kind of gave me peace a bit.
We have one last question from another friend. So you usually, that's a
no
bonus
idea.
one.
Yeah.
That's a bonus
4
one.
questions today.
So my question for Meshary would be, if you and your best friend were to start a podcast, what would the topics be about? What would be the purpose? And what would it be called?
Oh, wow.
So that's Hannah, my best friend.
That's Hannah.
Hannah. So me and Hannah always joke that if me and her go on a podcast, we'd both go to jail immediately.
So it will be with Hannah.
With Hannah. See,
there
the
you go.
ultimate dream is me and Hannah, unedited, unfiltered,
Oh, beautiful.
Amazing.
open
Raw.
session, raw,
Raw honesty.
an hour or 2 or 3. Just let it go. And I think me and Hannah, because we think out loud with each other, and it's such a blessing to have a friend that you can think out loud with and not worry about judgment or concern or intention.
Yeah.
And with her, we get to talk about design and people and families and growth. Like, we were university friends who were, enjoying life, and now she's a mom. I'm a business owner in my 30s. We've went through so many different chapters. We've survived all of them. And until this day, when we sit down together and we talk, just me and her, all you hear is giggles and sounds and references that no one understands but me and her. But I would love for me and her to have a podcast session, but it should never be live, ever. Yeah, but what would I call it?
Chapters of life.
Chapters of life. Reminds me of Days of Our Lives. Remember that show?
Yeah, the
not Days
hair.
of Our Lives.
That show went on forever.
hair.
Exactly.
And all my
Years.
children.
Throughout our lives.
Yeah,
It's like
literally.
Days of Our Lives. All my
Lives.
children.
But we should do that then. You should do that with
should.
Hannah.
So
Yeah.
when are you inviting us to that podcast? And what will it be called? Like, what will your name be for that?
Oh my goodness. I mean, she's a very prideful Kurd. She's from Kurdistan. She loves her culture so much. And I love her culture because she made me fall in love with it. So be maybe Meshary and the Kurd.
Oh, I love that.
Although her husband is Meshary, so that would be yeah. Mesh is Meshary. Yeah. There's two Mesharys.
But I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Well, I know somebody who can produce it for you. Just saying.
Let's do it.
Meshary, well, do you have anything else you want to ask him, Lina?
I have 1,000 things I could ask him actually, but I'm mindful of the time.
Yeah.
But
Do you want to ask him that? But I think he answered that question we always ask at the end of the episode.
what does he want to tell his young
Yeah.
Meshary? Because he did answer
He did
that.
answer
he said
that.
it several times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're not going to ask you one last question, Meshary.
Thank you.
We're going to spare you the last question.
No,
the
I'm enjoying
repetitive
this. I don't
question.
want it to end.
What question? Okay, here's the question for
There you
you.
go.
If you are on your podcast right now,
Yeah.
you're the one asking the question,
Yeah.
and I'm there sitting in your place. What's the question that you'd like to ask? It's a bit of a mind twister.
No, not at all. I think it's so easy for me. I overshare and I expose myself a bit too much to people, and I overshare on social and in real life. So there's nothing that I'm hiding. But recently I've been having this urge of, what if I just like disappear?
Oh.
And I would ask myself, would I ever quit social media fully and promoting myself and oversharing and just go off the grid? And my friends don't believe me when I say yes. I would do it right now if I could.
Oh my goodness.
My business depends on it. I have to overshare.
Right. So there's that obligation.
There is.
But really, is that like your secret fantasy?
100%
To actually
to
disappear?
be off the grid.
Really?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, we're going to work on that village. We're going to have to work on that
Well,
communal.
that's the airport moment when you travel.
It is.
That's right. That's
listen,
right.
a farm in Puglia,
Yeah.
one more dog, plus my current Elio, off the grid.
Wow.
I'll design remotely.
So where are the layers in that? There's a lot of minimalism in that.
Not at all. Because there's going to be a lot of furniture around me that I'm going to be shopping for, and all the flea
You're going
markets
to be
of Italy.
making them all.
I'm going to be making them. I'm going to be surrounded by a lot of things.
I would not have guessed that, because from the way you were speaking all along, that accessibility, that wanting so
True.
many people, the circle, I imagine that your dream fantasy is to be surrounded by like 100 people
Yeah.
all the time. That's what I imagine.
But
it's
that's
interesting.
my nature. I love people.
Yeah.
I love to be surrounded by people. And my recent birthday, I told Lubna that I'm inviting all my friends to my house, my close friends only, and there was 70 people, my close friends, because I love people. I'm such a Libra. I love people.
You're a Libra.
But I am a Libra. But also at the same time, I think the assumptions of my oversharing is what breaks me. That's why I feel like, okay, let me just retire for a bit.
Have a bit of peace.
bit
Retreat
of
a
peace.
little
Have
bit.
my time.
I don't want anyone to know anything about me. I just want to be invisible for a bit.
Well, we are lucky that you decided to do that after talking
I didn't
to us.
disappear.
Yes, I know.
You know?
Yes,
I showed
exactly.
up.
We had
Thank
the chance
you.
of having you.
Exactly. No,
Thank you so much for your time,
so
Meshary.
much.
Thank you
It
for
was
having me.
beautiful.
for sharing your experiences, for sharing your
Thank you.
spatial emotions, for your heritage, for your passion,
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having
but also
me.
for allowing us to join you in
Absolute
your
pleasure.
journey.
And your realness. I
you.
want to add that. It was
I
really,
appreciate
really
that.
beautiful. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure, guys, honestly.
Yeah.
This has been Forward Moves, hosted by Lina Nahhas and Haddad. If you like our show, download it, share it with your friends, and give us a 5 stars rating. Until then, keep moving forward.